Everyone, hope everything is going well today. Today, I'm going to be talking about why it's insane to be buying the high end at this point. And yes, I will be looking at weak options, but not for cars that are priced way on the high end, where there's most likely hankus pankus going on. Before I get into this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the economy, macroeconomics. So if you don't want to hear about macroeconomics, don't watch this video. I may sprinkle in some political stuff, some tinfoil hat stuff. If you don't like it, don't watch this video. Okay. And I'm doing this video where I know I'm not going to get as many clicks, but I want to do this video. And this is what I like looking at. And I want to tell people, hey, look, every day is an opportunity. You can always find something in all types of markets, okay, without doing hanky panky. I trade markets every day in the stock market, and there are opportunities every day. It's kind of hard with another job, but there are opportunities out there. And I talk a little bit about that on my other channel for those that are interested. Now, getting into some macroeconomics, okay? So I don't want to get too much into this, but why have markets or the past few years, and you could even look at some of the high end, not all the high end sports cards. I mean, we could go to some of the indices over here, and we could see, okay, from a 5 year point of view, okay, they've gone crazy, right? Last few years, not so much. 1 year change, some TCGs up. There is demand in that. A lot of kids like Pokemon. Their parents like Pokemon. Okay. And there are some individual cards out there. Players, Jordan cards have been going higher. There has been a huge pumping going on in Star 84. Okay. But overall, if you look at it, they haven't gone up. Now the stock market's gone up. And I just want to explain this in a very quick manner because I was talking about this on my other live the other day, Don. Just want to tell you what's been pumping up all these markets over the past 2 years since 2022 is reverse repos. This is a complicated topic for most, but I'm going to summarize it very basically. Okay, huge balance at the Fed, cash coming out in 2022. Now this balance has gone basically to zero. And guess what? We've seen the pumping going on all sorts of activities, all sorts of markets. Okay. People think things are rosy. They're not rosy. Okay. Another thing that I wanted to look at. And when this goes to zero, there's usually problems in the economy, right? We saw in 2019 and before that as well. M2, money supply. You could see the pumping that went on from February and March of 2020 to about 2022 in some of these cards. You know, F1 was still being pumped. You had those what was those Marvel PMG, like that was being pumped. And ironically, all that pumping stopped once, COVID was basically over, and then the money supply started to drastically go lower. Coincidence or not, you tell me. But and everything started to open back up. So sports cars have been going down since money supply has basically topped out. What's the crazier part about the economy? Okay, is I want to look from a longer term trend line, not trend line, but longer term trend. You see gradual increase in money supply, which corresponded with the economy going higher. Then all of a sudden during COVID, money supply pumped up because they're pumping up so much money, the PPP fraud stuff going on. Some of the loans were legit, or most of it was legit, some of it was fraud. You had like stimmy checks. You had instances where you didn't have to pay rent, that people were just like speculating like crazy during the pandemic. They were gambling like crazy. It was a mirage once everything started to get back to normal and the supply chain started to improve. What's crazy is from March 2022 to right now, the money supply has gone nowhere. And I could show you, right? There's always a gradual increase in money supply. And then you saw this boom, and then we're not able to even exceed the money supply from a couple of years ago, and stock markets are at all-time high. In my opinion, something has to give. Either money supply has to start going up like crazy, or we're going to see a total unwind collapse of the system. Like I said, what's been pumping up everything else? Why does everyone think everything's good? Because their 401ks are good and all this liquidity coming out from reverse repos, interest payments flowing through the economy. And I do accounting, by the way, for reverse repos. And what I can tell you is for that aspect of my job, that's actually dwindling down. There's not as much accounting work for it. It's not that hard, but I've noticed it's starting to come down. So that's one thing that I've noticed on my end. And what does that probably mean? It's probably impacting the whole economy, less interest payments flow through. That's just the reality of the situation that I'm looking at. And I just want to look at from a couple years ago. Okay. October 2021, when things seemed rosy, right? I just chose a random date. Okay. Things were starting to like get better in the economy, job wise. And look, 531,000 jobs, and the non-farm payroll employment rose by that much. People say, oh, well, we're coming out of recession, and that's why the economy was picking back up and all that. Well, go back 3 years today, right before an election, on the payroll numbers 12,000. Okay. See that contrast? See the contrast in the money supply from a couple of years ago, where money supply basically has been going nowhere and everything seems rosy. Something has got to give. This is why I believe it's quite insane to be buying and speculating in the high end right now, because I believe there will be many, many opportunities in the coming years while the people of America and elsewhere are going to be struggling even more. People will be like, well, this is negative, this is that. Hey, look, like I said, there are opportunities every day in all sorts of markets. You can capitalize on it. I listened to this guy, JC Peretz. He says that a recession is a choice. In a way, it's a choice because you can always find opportunities in markets, not sports cars per se, but stock market, trading, investing. There's always something out there if you spend the time and work hard and work smart. I believe that motto is correct. But a lot of people don't do that. And guess what? A lot of people are going to be hurting. So I'm just looking at all of these macro, looking all of these data points. Something does not give. And if you want to look at it from a, tinfoil hat point of view, maybe I'll go to Instagram right now. I asked this on Instagram the other day. All right, let's look at this. So I asked, all right, the election is around the corner. I saw the real guy, I think real guy 22 or whatever his name is, asked us all do the same. Trump versus Kamala. And a lot of people voting for Trump. I also did not voting. It's the matrix and the simulation. That's my choice right now in this year. And the reason is, hey, look, just because if you get a guy that is perceived to be pro business, you can't stop the plumbing that's about to burst out there. It's going to be very difficult to do so. I know some people will get turned off when I say this, but I'm just looking at all of this right now. And I'm just looking at, once again, reverse repos. It's just quite ironic that all this liquidity is being drained out right before the election. Coincidence. Some people are saying, oh, well, there's other ways to pump up the economy. Well, they got to find ways to pump up the economy when the total jobs is what, 12,000? All right. Like that's a huge problem. That is a huge, huge problem. Okay. And ultimately, we're going to be facing a lot of problems in the next few years. That's why I'm sitting out this election. And just think about it, tinfoil hat point of view. I know some people don't want to hear politics. Oh, well, we're outside now, going out, hanging out compared to the pandemic, where we're locked in our houses and everyone was amped up and stressed out. The powers that be, the deep state, does not like Donald Trump. I think everyone will agree upon that. And what's the best way for them to embarrass him? To be like, hey, look, how do you destroy this movement? And how they destroy the movement is the economy. Now, there are ways to pump up the economy, whether it's Harris or Trump. Yes, there are ways. But like I said, there's a lot of issues out there. And it's going to be hard to put Humpty Dumpty that back together. Now, I am willing to change my opinion if I start to see data points start to improve. But if I don't see data points start to improve, then my overall thought process will most likely be right. So it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you later. See ya. Bye.